Welcome back to Peril Pending, and today we're looking at a few clips from Robert Jenrick where he seems to give away the game on the Clacton by-election, and he tells us who the real establishment are. Yes, it seems they have wheeled out their best boy again today, Robert Jenrick. I have no idea why. He seems to be the reform punching bag because every time he goes on to one of these things, he gets a little tetchy. He tries to talk over the interviewer. He spills them beans I don't think he was supposed to open. And he ends up walking away looking like a complete and utter clown. Today, we're looking at a few clips from the Radio 4 show Political Thinking with Nick Robinson. The first one, Jenrick's going to give up the game on what I believe the reform's plan is should Nigel Farage win and a future by-election be called. And then the second one, well, we're going to learn what the real establishment are, because apparently it's not the rich, it's not aristocrats, it's not privately educated London traders. No, it's something wild, altogether different. So stick around. Let's get into our first clip.
They are now looking into it, and he's cooperating with that, which is the right thing to do. And if he's returned as Member of Parliament after the by-election, he'll continue to cooperate them, and no doubt they'll opine on that at some stage in the future. The point about the by-election, if you're coming on to that, is that Nigel believes he's not done anything wrong. I think he's correct in that assumption. But the ultimate sanction is available to the parliamentary committee and so forth, is to hold a by-election. So Nigel has said, well, why should I sit here and, have all of this thrown at me when there's so much more important that needs to be discussed here about the future of the country? Let's just cut to the chase, have the by-election now. I mean, if there's another one in the future, so be it, but that will look pretty farcical, and trust the people. Trust the people in Clacton who know basically what's gone on. They know the facts. They've read about it in the papers. If you believe in the public, in democracy, trust them. And that's what's happening now.
Did you catch that? If there's another one in the future, that will look quite farcical. There we go. I believe that's probably going to be Reform's plan. It should Nigel Farage win against a bin. They're going to try and claim that, well, one already happened. The will of the people, they'll call it, even though the will of the people don't want Brexit anymore, but apparently we've got to stick with that. And then they'll probably cry and moan about how, oh, well, it's all your fault, you lot in the establishment, because you didn't field any candidates. And so I came back in, and so no, we're not going to have another one. Because, that's how big-headed Reform are. They honestly think that the rules don't apply to them. But to pick up on a few points from when he first started talking there, Nigel Farage is cooperating, apparently. Is he? Because thanks to this by-election, the investigations are now on hold. So he's not cooperating at all because you can't, because they're on hold. Then he said that the ultimate tool, he didn't say it like that, but you know what I mean. The ultimate sentence would be a by-election. Yeah, that is true. It would be a suspension, which would lead to a by-election. But the suspension would only happen if he was found to have broken the rules. And Jenrick said that he believes, and Nigel Farage believes, that he didn't do anything wrong. So why would you call this by-election, leave Clacton without an MP, when you've just said there's so much more that needs to be done, there's tons of important work, and you know what? These investigations are getting in the way. These investigations, by the way, that are working in the background and not affecting anything he would do as the MP, well, they're getting in the way. So instead of just carrying on with the job and allowing the investigations to prove my innocence, I'm going to quit my job, stop the investigations, stop any representation for Clacton so I can have a by-election. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And then, of course, he said, well, the people of Clacton can decide because they know the facts. No, they literally don't, because these investigations have now been postponed. All they know is that you are suspected of taking money under the table. You are working with Posh George, a convicted criminal, money launderer, who's given Reform UK a bunch of money. Obviously, there's the £5 million bung. They know that that's all happening, but they don't know if you have broken the rules because of them. Because you stopped the investigations you are not cooperating with. Just absolute. You'd think, before he goes on a show, that Jenrick would maybe get some notes together. Maybe have a bit of a brainstorm with Reform HQ. Oh, hey, boss man, I want to say X. Oh, maybe don't say that, because that's contradictory. It doesn't make any sense. You can't say that I really care for Clacton, and then in your next breath say, that's why I quit my job for Clacton and left them without any parliamentary representation. That doesn't really add up. But there we go. That's the plan. If he manages to beat a bin, which it honestly doesn't look like he might, they're going to call the legal and correct by-election, the one that's following the procedure, they're going to call that one a farce, which is wild because just last week Leila Cunningham said that Nigel Farage would indeed agree with all findings. Let's move to our next clip. Same show, Radio 4, same clip basically, just further in it. And this is... there was a lot that I could have used from this episode here. I've dropped a few IQ points because Jenrick has drained me. But it's worth it because now we actually know who the establishment are. And it's not who you think. It's not the rich. It's not the powerful. No, it's apparently about mindset.
As our ambassador to Washington, it kind of pales into insignificance.
Let's go back then to your establishment point, because that was the essence of the point you were trying to get at. I think what frustrates people is they understand the argument you're making, that there's an establishment, if you like, that's been running the country. And I think you'd say that's not just Conservative and Labour parties and Liberal Democrats. You'd say that's the civil service. I think you'd say that's part of the media as well, who have, if you like, in your mind, imposed a series of values and views. Even if you accept that, lots of people don't, but even if you do accept that, they might say, doesn't a man who wants to be Chancellor of the Exchequer know that there is more than one establishment? And if you have a party whose friends are all multimillionaires or billionaires, whose leader makes money from promoting gold bullion and mixes with people in exclusive clubs, that is a dangerous establishment of its own. And no party should be in hock to it.
Well, two things I'd say in response. Firstly, to characterise Reform as somehow, in hock to the super rich, it misses the point of Reform. Reform exists in the way it does today because it's got 300,000 members who are ordinary people across the country. And I would just say,
just going to quickly point out there, I had a look at the numbers. It's not 300,000. It's close to 300,000. It's closer to about 265,000. So he's nearly there.
I have never seen a political party that is made up of such normal people.
Just going to pick up that little bit as well there. Well, the current iteration of the Labour Party has about 250,000 members. So what's that? About a difference of a couple like 15,000. So they're close. And at the height of 2019, the Labour Party had over 500,000 supporters. So, I suppose we shouldn't blame Jenrick for having a absolutely trash memory. I mean, he was only in government at the time, or at least a minister looking to get in government at the time. But nearly twice what you currently have. But yeah, we're going to forget about that because we're currently calling Labour the establishment, and if they have similar membership numbers to us, then what does that say about us? Since we're also funded by aristocrats. But I'll let Jenrick carry on.
As Reform. The day after I came to Reform, a couple of days after I came to Reform, Nigel held a rally in my constituency, and the security guard there came up to us and said they'd seized 40 or 50 knives. And I was like, what does that mean? And it turned out, by that he meant they were Stanley knives and pen knives, because there was a queue of tradesmen's vans going around the block of the...
That almost sounds like how a human would talk, doesn't it? Oh, I've seized a bunch of knives. What do you mean? I've seized knives. What are you talking about? I have knives in my possession that weren't previously in my possession. What are you talking about?
Newark Showground, because you've got brickies and plumbers and chippies who were coming after a day's work in Sheffield and Doncaster and Lincoln to hear Nigel, to hear me, to hear Reform. So it's built on working people, normal people who are worried about the state of the country. It's not built on these other people. Secondly, they're not buying anything by
These other people. I've got a slide after this that I'll show you, and well, we'll just see who's really funding reform. It's not these people
donating to us. These are actually quite brave people who are willing to stick their head above the parapet, donate to a party which is an insurgent, anti-establishment party, because they too are worried that the country that they love is slipping away. And they feel that whenever the next election comes, it's going to be one of those make or break elections where the country's really at a fork in the road. Does it continue down the consensus route, which I would argue has led to people feeling so hard up, so much going wrong in the country, or does it have a radical departure and do something different? And I respect everyone who's willing to put their parapet.
My question was whether you see the danger of a new establishment
around
Reform UK.
I don't see that
of the money.
Well, the point I was making is this: it's not about whether you're rich or you're poor. It's a question of your mindset.
And there you have it. So according to Robert Jenrick, the establishment, that's not about if you're rich or if you're poor, it's about your mindset. And if your mindset goes against the current consensus, then you're anti-establishment. So what is the current consensus? Well, in the last 14 years of Tory government, when Jenrick was a part of that government, and so was Suella, and Andrea Jenkins, and a few others, I believe. So they're all part of the establishment, but now they're in reform. Anyways, when they were in government, and also kind of under current Labour, the consensus has been anti-immigration. It's been reducing the welfare bill, not taxing the rich, trying to tax the working people. Labour are making a few strides on this. Conservatives really hated it, which was that net zero is the big bad. And, wouldn't you know it, every single one of those points is a reform policy. They are anti-immigration. They want to reduce the welfare bill. They do not want to tax the rich. And they absolutely despise net zero. So if you're basically mirroring policies of the Conservative Party, how are you anti-establishment? How is that against the status quo? Absolute nonsense. So because I think net zero is good, that we should maybe make some strides to become perhaps a world leader in green technology, because as much as people might want to scream about green and fossil fuel energy, the sun is relatively infinite, whereas oil and gas are finite. We're going to have to make the change eventually. Why not lead the way? Okay? People could eventually end up coming to us, perhaps. That means that I'm now part of the establishment. Even though Liz Truss is still hating on net zero. Liz Truss, who was at her American CPAC, British American CPAC useless organisation thing yesterday. The one funded by the shadowy Tufton Street think tanks. She's apparently anti-establishment. The one that crashed the economy, raised everybody's mortgages, kind of ruined the country for pretty much everybody apart from the super rich. According to Reform, according to Robert Jenrick, she's anti-establishment. Oh, and by the way, this is who funds Reform. I'm sure everyone here has pretty much seen it. I'm not... most of these... So you've got Christopher Harborne, the billionaire. You've got Ben Peter, the millionaire. Jeremy J. Hosking, the millionaire. David John, another millionaire. There's a millionaire. Leave means leave. That's Richard Tice, the millionaire. Fiona Cottrell, of course. Mother of Posh George. The aristocrat who once dated the king. Yep. Britain means Britain. Again, another one of Richard Tice's companies. The millionaire. Tyson Investments. Again, that's Richard Tice's company. The millionaire. Yeah, these people, according to Robert Jenrick, these are not the establishment. Because they're anti-immigration. Because they're anti-net zero. And because they want to slice the welfare bill, but they don't want to tax the rich. Absolutely mental. Just complete and utter garbage. Once again, spewing from Robert Jenrick's mouth. Although, one little positive, he did let us know what their attack plan's going to be if Nigel Farage wins it against a bin. But those are just my thoughts. Leave yours in the comment section down below, and I'll catch you next time while the peril's still pending.